everyone. This is Greg Drivenstead, editor-in-chief at Rider Magazine, and your host for the Rider Magazine Insider Podcast. Our guests today are Nancy Gerloff and Mark Augustyn, the husband and wife team behind Mimi and Moto, the Motorcycle Monkeys, a children's book series that introduces little kids to the world of motorcycles. Their first book, The Adventures of Mimi and Moto, the Motorcycle Monkeys, was published in 2016. In 2019, Nancy and Mark released their second book, Mimi and Moto Ride the Alphabet. That same year, Mimi and Moto took first place at the Motorcycle Industry Council's gas tank competition at AIMExpo in Columbus, Ohio. And this year, they released their third book, Mimi and Moto's Magical Meteors, First Gear. Nancy and Mark, welcome to the show.
Hi,
Hello.
Greg.
Well, I know you guys have got several books that want to talk about, what's exciting about talking to you guys now is I just went to the IMS Outdoor Show over the weekend. They have the Kid Zone with the Striders there. The CEO and founder of Strider gave a talk, Ryan McFarland. He runs the All Kids Bike program, trying to get bicycles into schools so kids can not only learn to ride bicycles, but hopefully become motorcyclists someday. And really, it's getting kids excited about motorcycles at a young age is really important. And I know things like story time and reading before bed is important. And you guys have a series of children's book about Mimi and Moto, the Motorcycle Monkeys. So how did that get started?
Yeah, Greg, back in 2015, Mark and I, we were kind of having a good outing on a farm, and we were just brainstorming how can we combine our passion for motorcycles and our passion for kids. How can we combine those two things? And we started to think about our daughter, and she was the inspiration for Mimi and Moto. So our daughter called herself Mimi, and we thought it was funny, and then that gave the name to Mimi. But then we thought about how can we engage little kids and motorcycles, and we tried to find books to have our daughter read, motorcycle related books, but we didn't find anything good. So we decided to start a book, which is Mimi and Moto, The Adventures of Mimi and Moto, the Motorcycle Monkeys. And that was our first book. So that was very successful. That was in 2016. And now coming down the road, we already are finished with our third book. So Mimi and Moto have grown up a little bit. They were kind of different in the beginning. Now they have morphed into something more exciting, and it's a chapter book. This new book we have, it came out this year, and we encourage everyone, to go on our website and check it out. It's currently not printed yet, but it's on as a Kindle version. So, yeah.
Well, I know when your first book came out, that was 2016. I remember it was December of that year. I got a hard copy of the book to review. And I have a little niece who lives locally. And, whenever I go over to her house, I'm usually pulling up on a motorcycle, and I've got my helmet and I've got my big Aerostitch suit, makes me look like a spaceman. And I sat down with her and read the book. And what I thought was great is that the book had both male and female characters, and it introduced different styles of motorcycling. It wasn't just about sport bikes, or it wasn't just about cruisers or bikers, but it was about it was about the whole range of motorcycling. And so what is it, the message that you were hoping to sort of share with kids and the world when you got this your first book going?
I think certainly by design at the very beginning, we didn't want to pigeonhole Mimi and Moto into just one sort of riding style. It was really important for us to start creating a brand that really appealed to the entire spectrum of motorcycle riders. We did our best in the adventures book to try, dirt bikes, sport bikes, choppers, cruisers, got a sidecar in there, and really tried to, funny enough, in the 11 spreads that are in the book, we did our best to try to work in as many as we could. The fun thing when we did the alphabet book was we had 26 pages, so we really had a chance to drop in even more of those little sort of sub-genres of the riding community. And I think that's really been very important to us from the very beginning. which was to keep Mimi and Moto appealing to everybody out there. And also from the standpoint of what we're doing, it's allowed us to go anywhere. You know, we can have I big at a Moto America race. You know, we've done flat track, we've done motocross, vintage festivals, and certainly I think from a brand standpoint, it just made a lot of sense to make sure that the characters were riding every possible kind of bike that we could possibly imagine.
Sure. So how does you know, I've never written a children's book. I've read plenty of them, but how does that, I mean, did you two write it, and then who took care of the illustration for you for these books?
Nancy?
So yeah, I mean, it's very short. So the first book was pretty easy. It was 11 pages, I think, or 11 sentences. So I think you just start, you know, what you're comfortable with. And we were, you know, we were diving into it, not knowing anything. So first you kind of have to connect with an illustrator. You have to find somebody to help you develop the characters. So the major thing you as an author do, you give the direction and you work with the illustrator on drafts, and then you review those drafts. And then if you find a happy place, the drafts become real, and then they are colored. And there's a lot of back and forth with the illustrator in the beginning, but it gets really to be a smooth process. I feel in the end, we were really in a happy place where we could, you know, really be as cute as possible, make the eyes pop. And we knew how children work when they're really young, 1 and up, and maybe until 4. They're really drawn to large eyes, you know, not a lot of text, more bright, simple graphics. So then we developed the second book, and we targeted it towards a little bit older children, so kind of school age, starting maybe kindergarten, short sentences, but still we wanted to rhyme. One of the biggest things our daughter loved to do is to rhyme and listen to rhyme. And then also there are a lot of kids books, as you notice when you read them, which have rhymes in them. So, and we used the motorcycle words, and we did the ABCs, which is another part of our inspiration, is to not, you know, we wanted to teach kids, but having a fun experience while doing so, and even have fun for the parents. So when you notice, you read the ABC book, there are a lot of hidden things in there, which maybe adults might pick up or the kids might pick up. So there's just a little bit of, you know, those hidden objects in there. And I think this was fun for us. And then, you know, again, we kind of, Mimi and Moto grew up a little bit more, and now they do, you know, they do adventure. So they do real stories. So they're in, you know, have their friends and they speak. So they become actually alive. Now in our third book, they can speak. So, which is a huge difference. So we also, I think, over the years, we developed ourselves and being just better every time we sat down. We even, you know, as a husband and wife team, this is not always, you know, very amicable. Sometimes there's fighting going on. I don't think this works. I think this works. So, you know, it's a creative process. So it's very engaged.
Sure. So, you know, like I said, you mentioned that how the Adventures of Mimi and Moto, the first book, was very short. It was 11 spreads, and that was really kind of an introduction to what motorcycles are. And I know when I read it with my niece, I was like, wow, this is really cool, because I'm a motorcyclist and I'm an adult, and I don't remember books like this when I was a kid. And then of course you said that with the next book, it was basically using the two characters, Mimi and Moto, and they go through the alphabet. So that's, you know, I guess if you were learning to read and you're learning how to put words and sentences together. So tell us about, like, what is with the third book, what is the story or subject line of the third book? It's Mimi and Moto. What is it? The
working title, well, I mean, it's not the working title. The title is Mimi and Moto's Magical Meteors, and that is the series name. And this first installment is called, appropriately enough, First Gear. You know, one of the things that we really were adamant about in contemplating what we were going to do for a third book was, as wonderful, as much as we enjoyed the first two books, what those first two books aren't are stories. We needed to create a world for Mimi and Moto. One of our big things, Greg, and this was all the way from the very beginning of the process, was to figure out a way. Our goal is certainly to get Mimi and Moto animated in some capacity. To do that, once you start having those kinds of conversations with people in that world, they want a story, right? So that's what we really sat down and thought about, like, how do we come up with a sort of an idea for it? So we kind of kicked around, and the sort of the synopsis of it is that a magical meteor made of motorcycles crashes into Earth, and the next day when the animals wake up, they are magically transformed into motorcycle riders, except for two gorillas who somehow are stuck in a car, and we've appropriately named them Mr. and Mrs. Cage. And Mr. and Mrs. Cage have ill intent and not good ideas for the meteor, and Mimi and Moto, along with Bella and Bailey, who are their cat and dog friend, are on a mission to protect the meteor from the cages, which they do successfully do without giving away any of the story. And then certainly the idea is, our goal is to get to sixth gear. So there is a sort of a loose, the book ends, but it kind of leaves some things dangling at the end. And that is really the goal, to get to second gear and third gear and fourth gear and fifth gear. I don't think from a book standpoint, maybe a little bit different than the alphabet book, we really didn't go into first gear with any real agenda as far as trying to put all these ideas in there and lessons. And actually, I think in a couple early versions, I think Nancy was the one who kind of pointed out a couple things, and she says, "Oh, that kind of sounds a little preachy."
Yeah.
So we really went for really just trying to write something that was fun. We wanted it to be fun for kids to listen to. We wanted it also, I think, as we work on the brand, we certainly are cognizant of Mimi and Moto has to appeal to kids, but it has to also appeal to the parents and the adults. And one of the things that we wanted to do is have it be a book where, as adults and parents are reading it to the kids, they're having fun as the kids are listening to it. And so that really was, sort of the genesis for that idea. We wanted to create a world, make it a lot of fun, and really, I think also from a creative standpoint, as Nancy was alluding to, this is a very creative process for us. And if you're creative and you're not taking some chances, trying to do some things that are different, it's a little bit daunting, I think, for both me and Nancy, from the standpoint of putting something out there that is, we're certainly hoping people are going to love it. But when you write 13,000 words, some people will dig it, some people won't. But we really just tried to have a lot of fun with it, tried to make it moving and whatnot. And that was really the idea for first gear. And hopefully the fingers crossed, we get to sixth gear.
Awesome. So what I'm curious about is, like I said, your first book came out in 2016. The second book, the alphabet book, was in 2019, and your third book in 2021. How's been the reception within the industry? I know in 2019, Mimi and Moto won first place in the Motorcycle Industry Council's gas tank competition, which was must have been it was great to receive that at the AIMExpo in Columbus, Ohio. But how are you getting the word out in the industry? What's the reception been like?
Man, I gotta say, I think when we started the journey 5 years ago, we had no clue what we were doing. Going back to your earlier question, we didn't know how to put together a book or what it took, and so we've certainly learned a lot. I think and Nancy, can kind of throw her opinion out about this, but man, it's been awesome. We've got, you were mentioning, we know Ryan McFarland over at Strider. He's been, we talked to him very early on in the process. Actually, every time we sell a book, we've got a stack of all kids bike flyers here at the house, and those get dropped in. Awesome. We've got Ovale flyers that we drop in there. We've got Stasic flyers that we drop in there. What's been really cool too is Mimi and Moto has opened up a lot of doors for us, and especially from my end professionally. So we got invited in 2019 to manage the kids zone for Moto America. We did that in 2019. We didn't do it in 20 or last year or this year just because of all the COVID stuff. So I'm hoping that we kick that up again in next year. So, great relationship over there with Moto America. They sell our books, and we have a co-branded T-shirt in their merchandise booth. Similar arrangement that we have with American Flat Track. They've got our books in their merchandise booth at the races. They're selling some of our T-shirts. So we're constantly trying to build relationships, and a lot of it is just meeting people. I got a chance to get to know Michael Hill this year with Moto America, working at the podium over there. Obviously, he's with Moto America and World Superbike. Chatting with him about how to try to get Mimi and Moto over into Europe. Chatting with him about some of the race teams that he's working with. It's just every year has been actually very different. I remember what it was like the first year, and this past year, and with all the stuff going on, has been very different. And I think we'd expect the same thing. But I think overall, yeah, we've been very blessed with the relationships that we've been able to build in the industry for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, again, I think that it's probably speaks to the unmet need, for books like this that are really, again, to get the next generation interested in motorcycles, for the terms, to where adults have a way of talking about things in adult language, but when dad's talking about his dirt bike or going out for riding with his buddies, or whatever it may be, mom and dad go out and ride motorcycles, the kids may be fascinated by them, but to be able to put that in kind of the language and sort of interests. Like I said, you've got these two playful monkey characters, that like I said, the big eyes, they're very playful, and that's what kids are looking for. Motorcycles are fun, and they don't have to be big scary things that are just in the garage. So that's great.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. And we actually, even on that note from the industry, earlier this month, Jamie Howe, who is one of the on-air personalities with Moto America, she lives here in Georgia, up in Flowery Branch. So I rode up there on my Ducati. Jamie bought 114 adventure books, and I did a reading to all 4 of the first grade classes. And then after we did the reading, those kids came out, and I had them for the 3 classes. I just had them gather around my motorcycle, and it had cooled off. So they're just touching it, and I'm just, hey, go ahead and touch it. And then for her son's class, actually, we put each kid on the motorcycle and let them sit on it for a second. And, it's those little moments that you just don't know what kind of impact that's going to have on kids. I think one of the things that we've kind of figured out over the last 5 years is that, in our opinion, and this is anecdotal, I hope somebody does a study on it one day, but if you ask motorcycle riders out there, hey, what inspired you to become a motorcycle rider? I would offer at least 90%, if not 95%. Will sit there and say, well, when I was a kid. And I think most motorcycle riders can trace that inspiration back to a childhood experience or memory. And if we as adults can provide those moments of inspiration, and again, it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be a kid taking home one of our books. Could be a kid sitting on my motorcycle. But those little things mean a lot. And the more that I think we as motorcycle riders, as an industry, can seed fertilize the ground out there with those sorts of experiences for children, I think it only bodes well for the industry going forward.
Absolutely. Well, like you're talking about, there's the kid zone at the Moto America races. There's the kid zone at the IMS outdoor shows. And, I've been to a couple of those this year, and to see the kids playing around on the course on their Striders. Stasic has some bikes that they can do a little electric bike and get the propulsion feel. And, there's just a way in which the experience is trying to make it as user-friendly for children. But then, even at things, I think for teenagers and, young adults, and some people that have never had an experience riding, the Discover the Ride experience at IMS Outdoors uses like zero motorcycles that are speed and limited to where people can get the experience of riding a motorcycle without the intimidation factor. And so it really seems like there's quite a bit of a groundswell of effort, whether it's book materials, it's riding programs, learning to ride, just to get more and more people involved in motorcycling, and maybe off their screens and out doing stuff. So yeah, that's great. So what's next? You said that you've got your third book. You've got that in Kindle form now. Will there be a hard print, a printed version of that coming out in the near future?
Yeah, we will definitely have a hardcover in the very near future. Right now, we have produced some Snuggle Monkeys. We call them Snuggle Monkeys. They're just plush toys, but they're large, so they're about a pound each. Mimi or Moto or both, and they are currently available from our website. And they go like they're really, really hot item right now. So people love to have something they can hold. So especially children, they like to carry around their stuffed animals. So
Sure.
we had a long development together with the people who make those. So there were several iterations of making these perfect and looking really beautiful, just like Mimi and Moto in the book. So now they are 3D. You can hold them, you can go to bed with them and snuggle up. So I think that is something exciting we have right now. Then we also have, some good ideas for kids, which are still babies. So we have onesies as well, selling onesies now. And what else? We have some Christmas ornaments, which are available from the website. And we're working with a local, Mark, what are they called? Remind me.
We found some artists here in town, Kismet Craft Studios, and they did, we've got a really cool laser engraver, Greg. So last year we did some Christmas ornaments that were laser engraved out of wood. And then this year we did a different version, and they've actually laser engraved some of our characters into a clear acrylic plastic. I think, kind of continuing what Nancy's saying, I think part of, we look at the books really as the foundation of our brand. But we also recognize that we want to, as Nancy said, bring Mimi and Moto sort of to life. The Snuggle Monkeys are one part of that. Figuring out a way to animate the characters and bring them to life like that. And again, I think it's important for us as we do these things to be cognizant of the audience, which is not just the children, but ultimately it's got to be cool and fun for the parents and the grandparents who are looking at this stuff and wanting to bring it into their homes for their kids. So I think it's really trying to, it just really kind of keep growing the brand and recognizing that, the books are the foundation, and then, what can we do from those books? And, whether it's merchandise, products, would certainly love to get into the event space a little bit more and sort of take that kid zone thing and create something maybe that we can actually bring that to other events, other races, dealerships, and just keep really just trying to build the brand, one step at a time, one book at a time, and really, I think also one fan at a time. I think we recognize that as Mimi and Moto becomes a part of families and motorcyclists, that it doesn't go away. Kids, believe it or not, kids keep being born, and as motorcycles family and grow, that's what we're trying to do, is really just trying to be a resource for them to kind of spark the imagination of their kids. And man, we're very open to any good idea. If it seems like a cool idea, we're certainly willing to discuss it and try it.
That's cool. Well, you had mentioned that, like your most recent book about the Meteors book, it's first gear, and that, obviously it lends itself to being a series of books, first through sixth gear. But you mentioned a couple times about, being animated. Is that something that you are trying to put into the works, is maybe to have a cartoon type series or a little short animated film or movie with Mimi and Moto?
Short answer is yes.
Yeah.
I guess the question with that is how to get there. And really, I think for us, a first step there was writing first gear. And, like I said, it's out. You can get it on Amazon Kindle. You can also download a PDF version from our website, which is text only. We are working to design that, hopefully, maybe late first quarter next year, early second quarter. But that is, it's always been something that we've wanted to get to, but you have to got to walk before you run, right? Yeah. So I think part of what we've done, we've had a few conversations here and there about it, but nothing very serious. I think we've also kind of recognized the more we can do on our own, the more books we can get out there, the more relationships that we can build. it only makes it that much better for us when we do have those conversations. So yeah, I would probably say certainly we would like to try in 22 to just take some more concrete steps there. You know, we've been chatting a little bit with Michael Hale. He's got a cool little caricature of himself that he uses on all of his social media. And I was sitting around one day and I just took on a PowerPoint, I just took that image and then I threw a bunch of our images around it and I sent it to him, and he loved it. And I think he sees what we're sort of seeing. So we may do something with Michael where we'll just do a little short, you know, something, nothing too long, and just start that process going. You know, I think one of the things that would really help us out as we get into that process is to connect with motorcycle riders who are parents who work in television and film, because these are people that we don't have to really explain to them a lot about why we're trying to do what we're trying to do. They get it. They ride motorcycles and they have kids. And so again, I think this first gear is I think a big first step for us, because we've made an attempt to kind of create some sort of world. You know, once you create that world, it gives other people some meat to chew on, and their creative brains start going. And that's, I think, to get something on the scale that we'd like to get it done, it's definitely going to require us finding like-minded people who can see the vision that we see for it. And again, I think also too, we want to do something that's as appealing for kids to sit and watch as it would be for an adult to sit and watch. We'd like anything that we do animating Mimi and Moto to really bridge the gap from that imaginary kids cartoon world and bridge the gap to the world that we occupy as motorcyclists. And if it can appeal, if something would be cool to sit down and watch, it would be fun for kids to watch, but really cool for adults to watch. Right. That's, I think, really where we want to try to go with animating them.
Well, I mean, you know, any of the best cartoons, you know, I remember watching like Bugs Bunny cartoons with my dad as a kid. And it's like, the best animated, you know, cartoons and films always work on those two levels. It's like there's like, you know, there's the initial appeal for children. It's simple enough for them to understand. It's very visual, but that, you know, it can be appealing across an entire age range. There can be those sort of inside jokes that only adults would really understand. But you know, that like I said, it's something that adults can learn enjoy as well. So you know, I have to say, I commend both of you for figuring out a way to, like, you know, take something that you're interested in. I mean, your parents, your motorcyclists, you came up with an idea of something like, how can you combine the two of your interest and come up with something that in the world of motorcycling that a lot of people would love. I mean, I feel very fortunate to be able to work in the motorcycle industry, to get paid to do something in an area that I love, so that you guys have not only created one book, but multiple books, and that you guys have it's been embraced by the industry. But also, like I said, you've created a brand. You've been creating characters that you've got the plush toys. And so Nancy had mentioned these are available on your website. I know we've got, you know, for example, this is we're getting close to the holidays time. People are always looking for gifts for children and things like that. So what is your website for?
It's www.mimiandmoto.com. And Mimi is spelled with an M-I-M-I, and then Moto, like you think, M-O-T-O. So
okay, well, we'll definitely.
And then you can
go ahead.
Yeah, you can find different resources on our website. You can print out some coloring pages with Mimi and Moto on them, and then also videos and just other resources we have provided for our fans.
Well, awesome. So the books, the plush toys, the t-shirts and onesies, all that stuff, Christmas ornaments, all that stuff available through your website?
That is correct.
Yes, sir.
Just go to mimiandmoto.com, and actually we just updated the site probably about a month or so ago. So we've kind of just made it a little bit easier of a shopping experience. So yeah, everything is there. We've got book bundles. We've got the Snuggle Monkey bundle, the ornaments, the t-shirts, the onesies. And again, we're going to keep adding to that catalog, and it's just a lot of fun. You know, as you know, it's just a matter of sort of sitting around going, all right, well, what do we do next?
Right.
And that's all we've been doing that for 5 years, and have every intention to continue and just keep building our little motorcycle monkey empire.
Well, hey, I want to thank you both for doing something that I think is great for the industry. Again, sharing a positive message of motorcycling. I mean, I still find it strange to this day that we still are sort of dealing with this mindset from a lot of people that, motorcycles are bad and they're dangerous. Is that, they are, what I found encouraging is that during the COVID pandemic, when a lot of people were stuck at home, people were buying small dirt bikes and motorcycles. They were getting out as a family. They were doing that as an activity. And hopefully that's something that people continue to do. It is a great thing that you can share with your children. Motorcycling, it's not just something you have to wait until you're an adult. So being able to send out that message and share it with a wider audience that, hey, motorcycles are interesting and they're fun. Get kids interested in them at a young age. It's exactly in line with what we've talked about, Ryan McFarland, getting kids interested in two wheels, whatever that means at a young age, because if you're a bicyclist, you're more likely to become a motorcyclist. If you're aware of motorcycles, then you'll look out for them. And I mean, every time I'm at a stoplight and a kid walks through a crosswalk, their eyes are like, dinner plates. They're always excited. And so, again, I appreciate you guys doing what you do for the industry. So thank you,
Greg. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, hey, like I said, we'll have links to your website in the show notes. I really appreciate you guys coming on the show. Folks, hopefully they're listening. If you've got young people in your life, family members, neighbors, whatever, go out, get a book, get a plush toy, get whatever you can at mimiandmoto.com. Be a great gift for the holidays. So thanks for coming on the show. And for the Rider Magazine Insider Podcast, I'm Greg Drevenstedt. Thanks for listening, and keep the rubber side down. If you've enjoyed listening to the Rider Magazine Insider Podcast, please subscribe, leave us a positive rating, and tell your friends. We also encourage you to visit ridermagazine.com, where you can get the latest in motorcycle news and reviews and sign up for our free weekly newsletter. You can also subscribe to print and digital editions of Rider Magazine, which is published 12 times a year. Thanks again for listening.